On October 19, 2017, in the bustling city of Manchester, Rachel Langley, a 26-year-old graphic designer, failed to show up for work at her creative agency. She wasn't answering calls or texts. Her boss assumed she was sick. Her friends figured she overslept. But her mother, Susan Langley, had a terrible feeling. Rachel always called every morning. By 10 a.m., she hadn't heard from her daughter. Susan drove straight to Rachel's apartment building on Temple Street, a modern block of flats filled with young professionals. She buzzed her daughter's apartment. No answer. She knocked. Silence. Then she noticed something chilling. Rachel's purse and keys were on the welcome mat outside the door. The building manager opened the door using a spare key. Rachel's flat looked normal at first glance. Her phone was charging beside the bed. A cup of tea sat cold on the kitchen table. The TV was playing a paused episode of Friends. But there was no Rachel. All the windows were locked from the inside. The front door had no signs of forced entry. It was like she had vanished into thin air. Security cameras in the lobby showed Rachel arriving home at 8:14 p.m. the night before, carrying groceries. She entered the elevator alone, pressed her floor, and smiled at the camera. There was no footage of her leaving the building afterward. Her neighbors reported hearing nothing unusual, no arguments, no thuds, no screams. One neighbor, an older man named Mr. Cummings, told police, "It's impossible. I've lived here 15 years. You can hear everything through these walls." But that night? Silence. At 9:32 p.m., Rachel's best friend Aaron received a text. "Hey, weird question, can you come over? Need to talk." When Aaron replied 5 minutes later, there was no response. At 9:45 p.m., Rachel's coworker received a message. "Not feeling well. Won't be in tomorrow." But the wording fell off. Rachel always used emojis and exclamation marks. This message was flat. Robotic. Investigators believed Rachel was already missing, or worse, when those texts were sent. During a second search of the apartment, detectives found a small folded note under the refrigerator, weighted down by a magnet that had fallen. The note read, "If something happens to me, look in the wall." No signature. But it was Rachel's handwriting. Hammer Part 6, The Hidden Space. Police brought in structural engineers to scan the apartment walls. Behind the drywall of Rachel's bedroom closet, they discovered a narrow crawl space, sealed by a painted-over panel. Inside the crawl space, white heavy checkmark, a torn Polaroid photo of Rachel as a child, standing outside an unfamiliar house. White heavy checkmark, a small diary, its last entry dated 2 days before her disappearance. White heavy checkmark and a tiny camera lens embedded in the wall, aimed directly at her bed. Rachel's diary painted a chilling picture. She had begun hearing faint noises at night, tapping, whispering, coming from the walls. She suspected someone was watching her, maybe using the vents or crawl spaces to spy. Her last entry: "I keep dreaming there's a door behind the closet. Every time I wake up, the closet door is open, even though I swear I shut it." Detectives traced the house in the Polaroid to a suburban neighborhood outside Liverpool. It belonged to Leonard Marsh, Rachel's estranged biological father, whom she hadn't seen since age 5. Marsh had died 6 months earlier. When police searched the property, they found a stack of old blueprints for Rachel's apartment building, original plans showing secret maintenance tunnels and unused crawl spaces sealed during renovations. Marsh had once worked for the construction company that built Temple Street apartments. Using the blueprints, investigators navigated a maze of tunnels beneath the building. Some led to dead ends. Others connected to electrical closets and maintenance rooms. In one tunnel, they found a makeshift living area. White heavy checkmark, a sleeping bag. White heavy checkmark, empty food wrappers. White heavy checkmark, a pair of binoculars. White heavy checkmark, a corkboard covered in blurry surveillance photos of Rachel. Someone had been living in the walls, watching her every move. But there was no sign of Rachel. When police seized the hidden camera system, they found hours of footage. The last recording, timestamped 9:22 p.m., showed Rachel brushing her hair in the bedroom mirror. Suddenly, she paused. Turned toward the closet. The closet door slowly creaked open by itself. Rachel whispered, "Hello," and stepped forward. The footage ended in static. 2 weeks later, police arrested Michael Barnes, a former handyman for the apartment building. He had been fired years earlier for unauthorized access to tenant units. Barnes had been living undetected in the building's walls for months, using the abandoned maintenance tunnels. He confessed to watching Rachel, claiming she reminded him of his late sister. But he refused to say what happened to her. "She's safe now," he told detectives. "She's part of the building." Despite extensive searches, Rachel's body was never found. Apartment 9B has remained empty ever since. New tenants report strange occurrences. White heavy checkmark whispers at night. White heavy checkmark closet doors opening on their own. White heavy checkmark a woman's silhouette reflected in mirrors. Neighbors leave flowers outside the door every October 19th. Rachel Langley's disappearance remains one of Manchester's most unsettling unsolved cases. Drop your theory in the comments below. Subscribe for more cold cases that still demand the truth.